All right. Hello. Okay. I was just inputting all the things for the live, and then I clicked on something and it all disappeared. So I had to start again. My apologies for getting started a little bit late here today, but that's okay. I have not gone live on YouTube in probably, I don't even know what. Actually, I think I went live a couple times last year, or the year before. Back when the panorama first started, I started my YouTube channel for the first time, and I was going live and posting lots of videos, and then I just got really busy. I just got so busy, and so I fell off. If you look, I think my last original video was 3 years ago, and it was a good one. It was all about how to get better engagement on social media by asking questions, the difference between passive and active engagement, and how to actually get people to respond and connect to you. Anyways, we are here. We are going live. I'm very excited. Mm. My intention, starting in March, especially, I'm just getting a few things in the back end lined up, but starting in March is to be getting back on YouTube again, coming live, bringing experts in, sharing lots of how-to videos. I am a sucker for a good how-to video. So watch for more of that on coming in March. I am so friggin' excited to be back on YouTube. In the meantime, I've certainly been watching a lot of YouTube. I have been watching a whole heck of a lot videos. I could say it's for research. I mean, it is, right? But I mean, I am a little bit obsessed with a few different accounts right now. Been watching a lot of anti-MLM content and creators, which is fantastic. And then also some like Christian fundamentalists or Mormon fundamentalists. I've been seeing a lot of their stuff too, and I'm just loving it. Um, I'm doing a lot of baking shows. It's all over the place. But you welcome here. Welcome to my channel. What was like? Oh, I was going to say my point of, by the way, of watching all those. My point was to say I'm really quite intrigued at how much YouTube has changed since I first took a stab at it 3 years ago, and how it like really we are coming here for like long form videos. I'm finding myself watching 3-hour videos, no problem. I put it on, I putt around, I watch it, I'll come back and forth to it. Like, oh my gosh. So it's been really cool to see how much it's changed. And it's really funny to go back and watch my original videos and see how I was like so stiff and rigid in my videos. You know, I took a course, I was following the format, and I'm doing the thing. And there's a saying that we throw around here in entrepreneurship, and I'm sure it applies to many professions and industries and areas of expertise, which is if you don't cringe at your original content, your original works of art, you started too late. And what that means is that it's okay to be kind of sucky at first and for it to not be the best. You know, you can't think your way into getting good at things. You have to just go out there and do it and get better with practice. And so I don't really cringe because the content is good, but I can see my rigidity. I also think that is pretty common. Like I am definitely a neurospicy person, and you're gonna see that in these videos because my mind kind of will go all over. Don't worry, I'll always pull it back in. I was watching a video of one of my newest favorite creators, and at one point she knocked a plant behind her and it was shaking. And in my brain, I'm thinking, are you not going to address that? Are you not going to talk about the plant that is now shaking? I'm like, what is that like to be able to stay focused? Anyways, my point to the not waiting so long to get started, waiting till you're perfect. You should be able to cringe. I think it's a really typical thing for neurodivergent people, especially if you're a neurodivergent entrepreneur, to really seek to understand the rules of how something works and make it make sense. And it can feel really rigid at first or you can feel really rigid at first until you kind of get a flow, and then you ease up and relax into it. And so to that, I say again, if your earlier content is looking a little stiff, a little rigid, it's okay. If your earlier blogs are really formulaic, you know, your copywriting is a bit stiff, it's okay. It's better to get started and then to ease into it and you know, relax into it as you go. What does that say in like the creative process? What is that saying? It's like you got to learn the rules so you can learn how to break the rules. Like, or is like learn the rule, master the rules so you can break the rules like an artist. What is that saying? You know that saying? It really does apply, and that applies to entrepreneurship too. So let's get into why we're here today. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Lindsay Johnson, aka the Radical Connector. I'm a consent-based sales coach for entrepreneurs. I help business owners ditch the ick when it comes to marketing and sales and understand how to connect with the people who are already looking for them with money in hand and co-create that sales journey together. One of the biggest barriers for new entrepreneurs is that they don't realize when they start their business, they've also just put themselves in the role of number one salesperson. And so if they are uncomfortable with sales, not good at sales, overwhelmed by sales, they're in for some trouble. They're in for a world of hurt in their businesses. They need to learn how to sell. But there's so many programs and courses and coaches and whatever out there that are teaching really predatory, manipulative, coercive sales tactics, which are leaving entrepreneurs feeling icky. And so then they're avoiding sales because it doesn't feel good. And so no, forget that. I have been doing this for well over 20 years, and way back in the day, absolutely, I was attending trainings and reading books and going to conferences and learning these skills. And it did not take me long to be like, this does not feel good. I do not want to sell this way. There is a real sell at any cost, get the sale no matter what kind of philosophy around a lot of what's taught in the world of selling and sales training. And I believe that we can take a consent-based approach. I believe we can stop forcing what we sell on people and manipulating them into buying. I think that there are people who are looking for what you've got, who want what you've got. And it's about connecting with those people and then co-creating that sales journey together. If you are having to force your programs, products, services on your customer and manipulate or coerce it in order to get them to buy, probably you don't have a very good product, program, or course. We want to create things that people actually want and then make sure we're being loud and proud out there and getting it in front of the right people. So, welcome to today. These are office hours. Now, I did these office hours way back again at the beginning of the pandemic. I did these every month, I think, for a few months. And then again, my God, did I get busy quickly. And so they kind of fell off, but I was going back and watching some replays of old ones when I was cleaning off my computer because my computer is way too full. And I was thinking, man, these things are good. I got to bring them back. I got to bring them back because they are just such a great way for me to be able to get in there and really thoroughly answer your questions and just share not only how-tos and practical step-by-steps, but also help you facilitate some mindset shifts, especially around marketing and sales and all the other peripheral personal growth elements that come through entrepreneurship. So with our office hours, we will be going live every month. This is the first time back. I'm keeping it pretty low tech. I'm going live directly in the YouTube app. At some point, I'll probably get onto some streaming where I've got more fancy bells and whistles. But I just wanted to pop on today and just get myself back into it. Why? Because done is better than perfect. All right. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. You can like this video, ring the bell so that you get alerted when I go live or post new videos. All of these things help the algorithm, help my content get shown. If you also have your own YouTube channel, I would love for you to throw it in the comments so I can check it out, so other people watching this can check it out. Let's spread that YouTube love. Let's spread the algorithm love. Let's like, let's follow, let's share, let's hit the bells. Let's do all the magical things. All right. What else? Okay, we're going to be talking today. I've got 4 questions on the docket for us. Hang on, where's my mouse? So we're going to be talking about 4 things today. If you have a question, you can throw it in the chat. If you're watching the replay of this, you can still throw it in the chat and I will bring it up next time. Or if it's an easy answer, I'll answer you right in the chat. Or I'll make a YouTube video out of it, a short YouTube video out of it. Okay, so my point is you got questions, throw them in the comments, throw them in the chats. All right, number 1 question today we're going to be talking about is when is the right time to quit your job? Number 2 is going to be some time blocking tips. Number 3, how to handle objections. And then number 4 is going to be how do I get on podcasts? So those are the 4 topics we're going to be talking about today. First things first, before we get going, throw it in the chat. Tell me, do you love sales or do you hate sales? Do you love the process of selling your brilliance, or would you rather sit in the dentist chair and get a root canal? Tell me in the chat. Let's get into it. Number 1, when to quit your job. Okay. This is a question I get all the time, and it is interesting to see how people's mindsets around having a job, quitting a job as it relates to their entrepreneurial endeavors and their business have shifted over the past 4 years, right? Since the pandemic hit. And many people were laid off. They had to quit. They could not do their job anymore. And so they had all this time on their hands and they started businesses or went in really seriously with their business. So this answer is really, my answer hasn't necessarily changed, but it's interesting to see how much more quickly people will leave their jobs for their business. My answer is always going to come down to two things. I'll give you the short answer first, and let's get into it. Number one, you quit your job when your business needs you full time. And number two, you do not quit your job until you know how to sell. You need to know the step-by-step process that you go through that turns strangers into happy paying customers. If you don't know how to go this, and then I do this, and then I do this, and then I have customers. If you don't know that backwards and forwards, if you don't have total confidence that you can walk out that door or hop online and within a week or 2 or 3, however long your sales process takes, you can have clients and customers, you're not ready to quit your job. Remember that having a business is not the same as having a job. You know, you might have a skill set you're really good at, or even something that you are maybe selling on behalf of another company. Maybe you're a salesperson somewhere and you're selling a product or a service, or you are having some sort of skill set and you're hired by a company to do the skill set. And in a lot of ways, you are a practitioner, right? You are an expert at doing the thing that you do. You're very, very good at it. You can definitely turn that into a business, but you have to remember that it's your company, your boss, your company, whatever, that's doing the business development, that's bringing the customers and clients in that you're then working for or servicing or supporting in some way. But once you become business owner, you not only are a practitioner, you're the person who also has to bring in the new business. And so if you don't know this component, you need to take the time to learn that. And those are skills. You can learn those. But I do not recommend just starting a job and quitting like that if you do not have at least a 12-month runway of money saved up to pay your bills and living expenses, and then also invest in your business, or have a very supportive partner, spouse, friend, family member who is funding you. Having some money somewhere, I just don't recommend it because it takes time to learn the skills of business development, of marketing and sales. It takes time to get out there and put yourself out there and figure out what works and what doesn't. It takes time for people to say yes to buying from you, right? And so when we put that level of pressure on ourselves that our baby business has to pay not only for itself, because a business costs money, not just in things like subscriptions and platforms and equipment, but in things like going to networking events, traveling for different, I don't know, events and things like that. Like they're, going for business lunches. A business costs money, but then you're also putting pressure on your business to then somehow pay your mortgage, your rent, your grocery bill, your gas bill, your car payment. You can't do that to a new business. You can't do that to yourself. You need to protect your little baby, right? You wouldn't send your baby out to work for you, right? You got to protect it. So you want your job to pay your bills. You want your job to be able to put that money into your business until your business can start to do that. So if you don't have a source of money coming in, do not quit your job. I will say that if you are in a place of like a really toxic work environment, a really unhealthy work environment, or your business is taking so much of you, your job is taking so much of you that you have nothing left for your business, you might want to think about getting into something else. One of the things that I did when I started my business is I fell into nannying. It was so weird. I essentially was like on Craigslist because I don't know, it was a while ago. And I was like, hey, are you a busy family who needs help around the house? I'm starting a business. I've got some free time. Let me support you while I get my own thing running. I got so many responses and emails and like so many. Turns out that's called a nanny. I don't know. I guess that's the gift of being great at copywriting. Like you can really just put it out there and connect. And people were like, yes, 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 yes. And so that's what I did part-time on the side. And then I also sold ads for an online parents publication. So I had like very part-time here, very part-time here. And I minimized my living expenses. Thankfully, I could do that because I was a single person. Well, I'm still a single person, but I'm a single person, still living in Toronto at the time, very expensive city. But I was able to reduce my lifestyle, my living expenses, and then have these part-time jobs. So it paid the bills. It gave me enough to put into my business, and it let me get some traction. And I wasn't exhausted, and I wasn't giving the best of myself to a company, right? when you're like, okay, my future is my business. I'm going to make something incredible of this and I'm going to take this like so far. If you know that's your future, what you do to pay your bills, who cares? Right? As long as you feel safe, as long as you feel good and you've got time and you've got money for your business, who cares? So for me, I part-time nannied and did ad sales. It was chill. It was awesome. It was actually a lot of fun. My job was like going to take the kids to see movies and doing laundry. Like my job was awesome, right? And then I had a lot of time left over for my business. So I say that to say, if you have to leave your job, it could be because it's toxic. It could be is because you're burnt out. It could be because you have no time and energy for your business. Then you might want to think about getting something else that's easier, maybe even part-time. I don't know your living situation. I don't know your money situation. What I know is do not think that you can quit and then just instantly be making money. I've been doing this well over 20 years, and the entrepreneurs have this weird number in their head, 6 months, where they think I can start a business, get it registered, make a website, and with 6 months, I'll be rolling in the dough. Most entrepreneurs aren't even past the like fear of having a sales call, aren't even past the fear of networking and putting themselves out there, right? There's so there's so much personal growth that's going to come from the entrepreneurial journey. It is not a 6 month thing. The caveat to that might be if you have a huge network, you have a ton of skills, you have a lot of the infrastructure already set up, and you literally just take yourself out of a job and into a company that's literally plug and play. Let's go. That is a thing. That's a thing where you like it will take me no time to go out to my network and get these consulting clients or get these investors for my new tech company or whatever. Right there, that happens absolutely. That's not most entrepreneurs, first-time entrepreneurs' experiences. It's just not. And so I just don't believe in putting that level of pressure on yourself and on your business. You cannot build your business when you have no money, when you cannot pay your bills. You can't. The stress will consume you. It will burn you down. The other thing is, I see entrepreneurs do this all the time. They have a goal of building their business to the point of quitting their job. So that's what they do. I only have to make this much in my business and I can quit my job. And so they have their first 5K month or the first 10K month in their business, which fan friggin' tastic, like hell yeah. But then they quit their jobs and they've only thought about their business goals or strategies or action plans or people in the funnel in the pipeline to that point. And so then they quit their job. And I also see them crash and burn because they haven't thought about what's next. They haven't thought of the long-term trajectory of their business. Also, anybody can make 10K in a month in their business. I want to know if you can do it 6 months in a row. When you can do it 6 months in a row, okay, let's talk, right? Or at least 5K. Most people can get by on 5K a month. So these are just things to consider. I want you, as I said, this goes back to my answer number one. When your business requires you full time, when I was able to leave or decided to leave, was that when I hit that point of I can't do this anymore. My business needs me. I'm having fun. This is so much fun, but I have to end it because my business now officially needs me. I need these extra, 5-6 hours in my day to give to my business, right? And I mean, here's the thing. Was I earning enough income in my business? Not quite. I was close, but not quite. But I knew how to sell. And I knew that with those extra 6 hours of focused work on what to do, I could get there. So that's what I'm saying. You need to have a plan. It's not just to quit. What is my plan beyond that? Right. And then do I know exactly how I'm filling my time? Right. So that is my answer to when to quit your job, when your business needs you and when you know how to sell, when you know exactly what to do to go out and get customers, clients, and you can do it quickly. I would love to hear in the comments if you know how to get customers and clients. Do you know your step by step? When I do this, then this, boom. Right. And that could be online or in real life, in person. Also, I've tell me in the comments if you quit too soon was a little nudge I gave myself to ask you. Because I do know a lot of entrepreneurs who quit too soon and then they go back to work because they have to. And there's this sense of, hang on, you'll have to forgive me. I was doing this really fun kettlebell swing ladder thing challenge on TikTok. And it's so much fun, but I tweaked my back. I was looking at I was doing it with another fitness friend, and I was looking at the camera to look at her. And as I was swinging my kettlebell down, I looked down and I just killed my back. So it's doing fine, but it's a little, I'm gonna like adjust. It's a little bit twingy, a little bit twingy. All right, so the quitting too soon. I've seen entrepreneurs do this where they've quit too soon and they didn't have their business stuff worked out. Their behind the scenes stuff worked out. We're going to talk about that in just a minute, what I mean by behind the scenes stuff. And so they had to go back and get a job. And there can be a real feeling of defeat or failure or a hit to your ego, a hit to your pride. We got to let that ish go. That's not real. Listen, you got to do what you got to do to survive capitalism. You got to do what you got to do to pay the bills and to be able to have money for your business. So if you quit too soon and you got to go back and get a job, do not let your pride or your ego or any of that get in the way. You got to pay the bills because whatever you're doing with your business, we need it. And so if you can't pay your bills, if you're so stressed out, none of that matters, right? Do what you got to do to pay your bills. If that means going back to a job, do that and take that as a lesson, something that you will one day share from the stage with other people. Here's what I learned about quitting too soon. Here's why it's important to have some sort of financial stability when you're getting your business going. All right. Let's talk about time blocking tips. Number 2, time blocking tips. I love it because once I get, I use StreamYard. So I'm going to get myself back on StreamYard and I can have all this stuff plugged in and you'll get this nice little lower thirds bar that says time blocking tips next time. All right, time blocking tips. So this is a really favorite one of mine, especially for folks who are juggling multiple things. Like maybe you have more than one business. Maybe you have a business and a job. Maybe you have a business and other responsibilities. A lot of people do a lot of volunteer and charity work. They sit on boards. They have children, right? So time blocking is going to be a real lifesaver for you. But I also want to remind you that time blocking looks like different things for different people. And let me grab a sip of water here. If you're not familiar with time blocking, it's just how you block off chunks of time to work on things, whatever that looks like. All right. And that gets to be designed by you in the way that's done for you. There's a lot of people out here talking about different ways of time blocking, and there's no one right way, right? You can do it by hour in your schedule. You can do it by day. You can do it by task. You can do it by brain mode, what you're working on in your brain, right? I'm going to talk about how I time block for my brain. Because for me, being like ADHD, neurospicy, whatever, I have been and am learning to really work with my brain versus fight with my brain or expect things from my brain that I'll never get. And so then I've been playing with different ways of time blocking to find which way works for me. I also am a big believer in like not being stressed out. And so if I'm doing things that are causing a lot of stress and strain or just feel like, frick no, I don't want to do this, then I work it into my plan. I don't force myself to do things I don't want to do. So here are some of my favorite ways of time blocking, and I would love to hear yours in the comments. So if you currently time block, I'd love for you to throw some of your tips in the comments for us. If you want to learn how to time block, again, throw in the comments and tell us, what are you struggling with most? Where are you becoming aware of a bottleneck in your business, but also in your life, right? So the first thing that I do is I make a list of everything that I have to do, all the things that are on my brain, right? As entrepreneurs, we have a lot to do. I will tell you right now that we will all die with a to-do list that's a mile long. There's always something to do. And so it's like, you got to get really good at being like, this would be nice to do someday, but it's not going to make or break my business. So it's not that urgent, right? So I make a list of all the things that are in my brain. And then I prioritize that list based on this needs to get done. This is something I would like to get done eventually. If you're able to outsource, this is something I can outsource, right? Or this is something that is kind of bugging me, but if I'm honest, I haven't done it till now. And if I do, and I've been fine, I don't have to, right? This is also where I look at what I can simplify. I have a tendency to get really complicated. For a person who takes complex tasks and breaks them into simple step-by-steps, I sure do like to overcomplicate my own stuff a lot. So my word for 2024, by the way, is simplify. If you don't make a word for the year, you got to. If you do a word for the year, tell me in the comments. Mine is simplify. All right. And so I'm laughing because if I were my own client, I would be like, what are you doing? You're making this so complicated. I have to do that for myself as well. So I prioritize and I look at what I can simplify. Lindsay, does it have to be a custom branded, designed, beautiful PDF that you design here and blah, blah? Or can you just put it on Google Docs and people can just save a copy and they can do whatever they want with it, right? Like, relax. All right. So once I have it prioritized, then I make myself a schedule. I go, all right, what are the things I need to do, especially in like, I have to do this before I can do this. And then once that's done, then I can do this. Okay. So I start to make a schedule. And one of the things, again, that I have learned from just being a human being is that we tend to give ourselves way too much to do. Like, way too much to do, totally unreasonable. We tend to view, especially our bubbles, our businesses, as building them in a bubble, as if our real life or outside of our businesses don't affect us and don't need things from us. And so I have learned to stretch out my timelines, to give myself 1, 2, max 3 things a day. And those 3 things are not going to be big, maybe 1 big thing, 2 small things a day, right? Because I still have to do things like work out, cook, eat, like take care of things around the house, socialize, right? Sleep. So I can't give myself hours and hours and hours of work, right? Also, my brain burns out pretty quick. If you are somebody who struggles with executive dysfunction, right, you know that your brain sometimes just won't work or it fizzles out quickly, right? So I make myself a schedule, but I stretch things out and give myself more time. This is also why I'm saying we need to simplify and we need to look at what really doesn't matter. Like, really, we don't need to do this, right? So we stretch that out, and that's what I do. I schedule things. Here's what I like with the scheduling. I'll get to the time blocking in a second because we're still just like looking at our to-do list right now. But what I like with scheduling is my brain is going to keep reminding me of things. Don't forget about this. Oh, you got to do that. Don't forget you also have to do this. But I know if it's written down and it's scheduled, I can just let that thought go. Oh, don't forget you got to change your Facebook group banner. Yep. But that's Wednesday's task, right? And today's only Monday, so I can let it go. I don't have to task switch and now go do that, right? So having that schedule when you're going to do everything is super freaking helpful. And now I get into time blocking. Now I get into, okay, like when am I going to block out time in my schedule to do these things? And again, no task switching. I'm not going from one thing to the other. I'm saying from 12 o'clock until 2 o'clock, I'm making this email sequence, right? Or from 9 a.m. until 10 a.m., I am answering all the emails that I've been collecting for the week because I hate answering emails, right? So I block off this time and that's the only thing I'm doing. No task switching. And when it comes to things like emails or like answering DMs or comments and things on social media, I don't do that all day, every day, right? Like I'll usually answer emails in the morning and then I'll have a quick look again at night before I log off for the evening, right? To make sure I haven't missed anything urgent. And that's it. I don't like every time I get an email, I must go respond. I don't. But what I do force myself to do, my brain to do, is when I'm in that hour answering emails, I answer them. I don't say, oh, I'll do this one later. I'll get to this one another day. Oh, I got to think about the answer. No, I answer them. I get through as many as I can in that time, then that's it. Then I wait till the next time, and then I go through as many as I can, and then that's it, right? Something you can do if it's really helpful for you so you feel less pressure is put an autoresponder up. This is thank you for your email. You'll hear back from me in X amount of days, right? Or if you don't want an autoresponder, because that goes to every single person, right? You could just, like I have signatures saved in Outlook. You can have a template or a signature where you literally just grab it and send it. Click, thank you for email. You'll hear back from me in X amount of days, right? It's just a way of automating your thinking. Anyways, so I answer my emails twice a day, and on social, I only go through 2, maybe 3 times a day. And I go to Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook and TikTok, and I go, okay, what are my DMs? What are my pieces, like where people have been engaging with my content that I could answer it, right? These are the 2 biggest things that'll suck my time away: social media and email. They will suck my day away. And I need to focus on other things, right? The other thing I do with time blocking is I have set days where I have meetings, podcast interviews, speaking, training, seeing clients, running my membership stuff. Those happen Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Those days are my days for working. Monday and Friday are my days for like me stuff, right? Working on my behind the scenes, getting emails scheduled and sent out, getting social posts scheduled, catching up on those emails, creating any kind of content or anything behind the scenes I have to do. I do that on Mondays and Fridays. Sometimes on Fridays I don't even do anything. Sometimes if I have a busy week, Fridays I just watch TV or go play with friends or go walk at the water. I don't do anything, right? Again, I leave them open so that I can support myself and my business in the way that makes the most sense for me. It's the most effective for me and the most feel good for me. Mondays, I love scheduling all my stuff for myself on Mondays because I never get the Sunday blues because I know I can sleep in if I need to. I have no meetings that day. It allows me to ease into my week in a really gentle way. Then I get shit done. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, business, business, business. And then Friday, I can usually look ahead and go, okay, I'm really busy. I think I'm going to take Friday off, right? Or I'm going to keep working on Friday and then the weekend I'm doing nothing, right? Again, work with your energy levels. I'll sometimes work on Saturdays because Friday I'm pretty kaput, tired. I take that day off. And then Saturdays I'll get some work done, right? So again, it's just knowing your capacity, your executive function, how things work best for you and your timing, and then scheduling things in accordingly. But make sure that you are taking that time to write that to-do list, prioritize it, and get real with the stuff that doesn't really need to be done. You haven't done it up until now. It's not going to make or break your business. Okay? Make or break. Okay? And no task switching. Once it's written out, that's it. Stick to it. Okay. Oh, I was going to add one more thing on here. I'm just checking my notes. I do like to make my list the night before, my to-do list, so I'm not up all night thinking about it as the ADHD brain is wont to do. I have these really cute pads I made for myself. I do sometimes sell them. I usually actually send them to like clients and things as a little thank you. But this is my little priority pad that I made. I got some hot chocolate on the top of it. And this is where I list my top 3 priorities. 10-minute magic. This is my favorite. 10-minute magic is the stuff that we can do in 10 minutes or less, but like put off because for whatever reason, we just keep putting it off. Like literally it was like, water my plants, and I need to do it. These poor guys are starting to get droopy. I need to water my plants. But it's like, okay, set a timer for 10 minutes, throw on some music, and like, what is the thing you're going to do? And so I like to put my 10-minute magic in here because I know this is what I need to do. And then I always have a person I want to connect with on here as well. So I know at the end of the day, I write this at the end of my workday. And then the next day, when this is all done and all checked off, holy crap, do I feel friggin' good and accomplished. I always make the next day's to-do list the day before. My one last night, I made one, and it's not just for today. This is for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for me because I have a lot to do. But like I just also put it in my phone, right? And here's my to-do list, but this is over the next 3 days. But it's like I'm just, check, 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 one at a time. Whatever you got to do, keep your brain organized. Oh, and then the last thing I put, eat, drink, move my body. That's another thing that's really essential to time blocking and also to being productive. Eat, drink, move my body. I know if I don't eat food, my brain won't work. If I don't drink water, my brain won't work. If I don't move my body, my brain won't work. All of this because I have less energy. But also at the same time, if you're ADHD, you somehow weirdly have lots of energy because the brain is just spinning, or the anxiety, the blood is pumping, right? I'm like, oh, there's my fidget spinner, right? And so eat, drink, move my body. I have to make sure that I'm allowing for time to eat breakfast, eat lunch, eat dinner, right? Drink lots of water or tea, and then go for walks. I have a little mini home gym here at my home. Lift some weights, go for some walk, do some stretching. I need to do that. Otherwise, I can't just sit at my computer and move. I need for my brain to eat, drink, move my body. Holy crap. That was a long one. There's my time blocking tips. There you go. All right. How do you handle objections? This is a long one. How do you handle objections? You don't. You don't handle objections. Let me tell you what I mean by that. If you are getting lots of objections, something is wrong. You shouldn't be getting lots of objections. Okay. And I know there are entire books and courses and people that go on stages and get paid thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to tell you how to handle objections. If you're getting objections, something is wrong. So let me tell you the three most common objections that people get. Okay. Number one, no money. I can't afford it. I don't have money. Listen, if people don't have money, they don't have money, okay? Or if they do have money, they don't, this isn't what they want to spend their money on, okay? People will say things like, oh, people will find the money if they really want it, or if you really believed in yourself, you would find the money, or put it on their credit cards, you'll make it back in X amount of months or weeks or days. Bullshit. Okay, if you're convincing people to put things on credit in order to afford what you're selling, man, you gotta double check. You gotta check in with your priorities, with your sense of morality and ethics, because that is messed up. Okay. We should never be pressuring people to put things on credit to buy from us. All right. You're getting that traditional or not traditional. What's it called? Anyways, traditional? Okay, my brain is spinning. I'll bring it back. But you're getting that tough love that, well, I'm well known for my tough love. All right. If people keep telling you they can't afford it, either you are talking to the wrong people, right? You are charging the wrong price, or you need to rethink your offerings and have maybe a free option, a low cost option, and then that higher cost option, and thinking about who are the people that can afford that. Right? We should not be encouraging people to go into debt to buy our stuff. That's messed up. All right. Um, yeah, like I just keep thinking of people that, oh God, I mean, who hasn't done that? We've been suckered into doing it. We have been taught to do that. I just can't stand the thought of somebody not being able to like buy groceries or pay their car payment or, pay their gas bill because they are trying to afford to work with me. I remember having somebody once do that. She had just quit her job and was wanting to work with me and was like asking for, a guarantee, right? If I work with you, how soon till I make money back? When will I get money? I really need money. Nope. I literally was like, I think you should go get a job. I don't think we should work together. I think you should get a job and get yourself on stable financial footing first. I don't know what she ended up doing. I have no idea. But like, I'm not going to work with that. First of all, I don't want that kind of pressure. And I've seen what happens to entrepreneurs or anybody who lives like that. It's not good. I mean, I swear it takes years off your life. No, that's a level of stress nobody needs. Okay. So yeah, like I said, if your program, product, or service is being sold to people who can't afford it, that is a you problem, not a handling objections problem. Something is wrong. I should say that's a business structure problem. You need to look at what you're offering and make sure that you're connecting to the right market, the right customer and clients, and that you're charging the right price. And you might want to look at having different tiered options. Okay. No time. I have no time. I want to, but I have no time. Listen, you can't make time. I know you all say it. I've heard you say it. People will be like, "Well, I just have to make time." Bitch, you cannot make time. 24 hours, 365. Like time is what it is. Okay. I mean, we're not going to get into like quantum physics and stuff like that. Okay. But like for everybody, for most people, there's 24 hours in a day. And no, not everyone has the same 24 hours in a day. Don't come at me with that BS. Okay. Somebody who has like, a full-time nanny and a personal assistant and a food delivery service and someone that comes and cleans their house, like that person does not have the same 24 hours that like a single parent who works two jobs, or like, a student who's going to school and also starting a side hustle and also, has to be there for their family to take care of maybe an aging parent. I don't know. Okay. Listen, we don't all have the same 24 hours in the day. Some of us have, 6 hours outside of all their responsibilities to do things. Some people have 2 hours outside of all the other responsibilities to do things. Some people have 3 hours a week outside of all the responsibilities to do things. All right. And some people have 20 hours a week, right? Because we have more responsibilities than just our businesses, and we all have different levels of support, right? So You catch my drift. If someone says to you they don't have full time have time, and you keep hearing that over and over, I don't have time, I don't have time, I don't have time. You have to look at what you're selling. Why am I either asking people to do something that takes so much time or talking to people who need to invest time but don't have the time? Again, you'll make time if it's important to you. No, you'll find the time if it's no, no. If you're asking too much time or you're asking the wrong people to give up time, you have to figure out what is going wrong there. All right. Stop putting that on other people. Muh. Okay. Not right now. I love this. Not right now. Stop. Respect the boundary. Respect the lack of consent. This is another thing I see people do where they push, but it's now or never. My prices are going up. You won't be, if you don't get it now, it's not available for sale for another year. If you don't get it, somebody else will. I have 3 people waiting. That pressure that you put on people, you have to get it now. And I know where that comes from. You have to pay your bills because you quit your job too soon. You have sales goals to hit and you're going to feel stupid if you don't hit them. You are putting pressure on yourself in some way and you are extending that pressure to your potential customers and clients. Okay. No, if somebody has said not right now, you have to respect it. That is the heart of consent-based selling, right? We respect people's yes, no's, or not right nows. Okay. So if someone says not right now, that's great. Invite them to join your community, your Facebook group, follow you on social media, get onto your email list, follow you on YouTube, whatever that is. Invite them to connect with you in some way and in a way that you can stay connected and still continue to build relationship in whatever way that looks like, right? And then if and when the time is right for them, they'll come back and they'll be like, all right, let's do this. My gosh, I'll meet people and it'll be 1 year, 2 year, 5 years, 7 years later, they'll come back to you. I remember I just had a conversation with someone. I met her at a pool party ages ago. And this is an outlier. I'm not saying this as a business strategy. This is an outlier. But like 7 years ago, we met at a pool party. And then she's like, hey, I think I'm going to start a business. Can we talk? Right? Because why? Because she's around, because I'm active on social media, because we follow each other. Right? And it's not that I'm actively reaching out to this one person to make sure that I'm like poking at them. I'm just showing up and we're in each other's space because of social media, right? So when it was time for them, they reached out to say, hey, I remember you. I want to talk to you. Okay. So if it's a not right now, respect that, but make sure that there's a place that you're directing people where you're still staying active so that they can still stay aware and connected to you. Okay. The other part of that, this is where we talk about, remember I talked at the beginning of this live here where I talked about you're not just a practitioner as an entrepreneur, you're also the person doing the business development and bringing people into your world to let them know that you exist, that you have a product, program, or service that exists that they might want. You need to be doing a lot of that and you need to be diversifying the things that you do, right? So in my world, I teach 4 fast and free revenue generating activities, right? There's networking, public speaking, community building, and content marketing, which includes social media, SEO, and email marketing. So you got to be diversifying your activities. So you're getting all sorts of people from all sorts of avenues. One of the reasons, I remember I talked about that applying pressure. And so we extend that pressure to our potential customers and clients. That happens because we don't have enough people coming into our world. And so we get a couple of people that show interest. We get really excited. We start counting our chickens before they've hatched, right? Oh, here we go. This is it. You're already counting the sale just off of one conversation. And then if they don't decide to buy from us or work from us in that moment, we feel so much disappointment and sense of failure, but also like, whoops, I was already counting that money and now it's gone. The money was never there. But anyways, because we get in that space, we start to apply pressure. Remember, people will buy from you if and when it's right for them. Okay. So we have to keep our pipelines full of really cool new people, really aligned people coming in. So we're never applying that kind of pressure to any one person and we're not applying that pressure to us. All right. I love that. Okay. So, and as I said, I hope you loved that. I love that. If you're getting lots of objections, something is off. So I'm going to tell you the 5 places that you need to look right now, where you might be that might be causing you to get objections. Okay. So number 1, as I said a lot already, your market is off. Your customer or client is off, right? You are talking to the wrong people. You are trying to sell to the wrong people, right? So who is your customer, right? Really thinking about who is the person who is looking for me, right? Who is the person I want to work with or who I want to purchase my products, programs, or services, right? And I could use the niche word here. We could talk about niching or niching, depending on where you live. But people kind of get freaked out by that because they start going into this like, I need to know my niche. I don't know my niche. What is my niche? And they start telling me things like I'll say, who is your customer? And they'll be like, oh, it's it's a woman aged 17 to 35 who makes this much money and, lives here. And like, I don't care. I don't care. That is such an ineffective way to niche yourself. I want to know the problem you solve and who has that problem and who is actively looking right now for that problem to be solved. Okay? I don't care how old they are. I don't care what they order at Starbucks. I don't care how many dogs they have. I don't care. What is the problem they have that you solve, and who are the people who are looking for that problem to be solved? That's what you need to know. Okay? Then the next thing, once you get clear on that, is your offering. Your offerings might be off, right? You might be offering, and this is so friggin' common, offering something that you think people need or should want, but you haven't actually proven it's what they want, right? Or they might want it, but you haven't proven that they'll pay for it, right? How many times have you scrolled past something or walked past something and said, oh, that's cool, I'd love that, but you never buy it because you're not actually going to buy it, right? How many times have you filled your online cart full of things and went, okay, I'm done, right? You're not trying to just sell what people need to the people who need it. You need to think about, I'm selling what people want to the people who want it. Okay? So you need to do your market research. You need to make sure that it's what people actually want and what they need. When I first started my business, it was, 2013. And I was the networking boutique. And I started off selling networking coaching and trainings. And I was really excited to show entrepreneurs how to use networking to grow faster, right? To grow easier. And I had such a great website, and I was doing like all these trainings and these workshops and these events and doing lots of networking myself. But I wasn't reaching entrepreneurs. The people who were hiring me, whether it was to come into their organization to talk or to work one-on-one with me, were people who worked in corporate spaces because they understood the power of networking, right? I was doing random things too, like helping people with their pitches, helping people with their public speaking, helping people with their social anxiety and confidence. I was doing, and then of course, networking workshops. I was doing a million things and I was getting paid well, but none of it was what I wanted to be doing, which is helping entrepreneurs grow faster and easier. I didn't want to be in corporate spaces. I wanted to work with entrepreneurs. And so I had to pay attention. What were entrepreneurs asking me for? They were asking me for help with selling. They were asking me for help with marketing. They didn't understand how to get themselves in front of the right people with confidence and then make it easy for them to buy. They didn't understand how to do all this. So that's what I started doing. I ended up rebranding and became the Radical Connector. And I ended up teaching marketing and sales skills, specifically my brand of consent-based marketing and sales, based on the work less, play more system that I've created after years of being in the space and understanding how to get in front of the people who are looking for you and make it easy to buy from them based on consent. Okay, so you need to make sure that what you're offering is what they want, all right? If people are not buying, but they like you and they're following you, but they're not buying, I bet it is something about what you're offering. You're missing the mark on what people actually want. Next, if all those three are great and still people aren't buying from you, look at the price. Are you charging too much? Are you pricing yourself out of your market? Are you charging too little? Are people not taking you seriously? Let's talk about both of those. Number one, charging too much. Okay. Lindsay, don't freak out. There's this thing that's taught in certain entrepreneurial circles. Charge what you're worth and then add tax. Okay. Your worth is invaluable. You as a human being are important. You are so valuable beyond any dollar amount. We love you. We need you. We want you. You belong here. The cost of your programs and products and services are not based on your worth and value as a person. They are based on the market value. What people will pay, what people expect to pay. You don't set that. Your market does, okay? Your industry does. So this baloney of charge what you're worth and then add tax, I see entrepreneurs outprice themselves or price themselves out of their market so quickly because they are charging way too much, way too much. So if you want to charge like a super high amount for something, then that's fine. That is your prerogative. You need to go back to who is my market? Who wants this and is paying for this, right? And if your market and pricing are off, I know who I want to work with. I want to work with the new entrepreneurs or the newly scaling entrepreneurs. So I know I can't charge $10,000 for my program because well, okay, I'll tell you what. New entrepreneurs get hoodwinked into paying for that. But can they afford it? Usually not. So many of my clients, I have one client who spent $125,000. And I'm sorry, she didn't spend $125,000. She put $125,000 on credit in her first 3 years of business, hiring people who would teach her how to build, who would get her clients. By the way, it didn't. It didn't. And she's got massive amounts of debt now. Oh, that makes me mad. I have another client I'm working with right now who just spent $18,000 on an 8-month program. Nothing. It's doing nothing for them. Nothing at all. Why? Because it's not teaching them the basics of marketing and sales. It's teaching them the build it and they will come myth. You know what? I'm going to add that to my list. We're going to talk about the build it and they will come with myth next month. Hang on. Oh, you can see where I get mad. I get real protective of my entrepreneur newbies. Build it and they will come myth next month. What's next month? March office hours. All right, let's bold that. Let's bold that and let's there we go. Okay. So many people get taught this build it and they will come myth. And so people are like spending so much money on things they do not need that will not help them. Also, it is in our nature, capitalist conditioning. I don't know. When we have a problem, let's just throw money at it, right? We don't often like what do I got to do here, right? Anyways, so sorry, my throat. So if you're somebody who back to my point, I don't charge tons because I want to work in a specific market. And so here's what they can on average afford, because again, I've been doing this over 20 years. I know, right? And so here's on average what is typically reasonable. And I also know that I'm going to be asking you to spend more money. Go buy this platform, go invest in this YouTube course, go and take this, blog writing course, whatever. So I am not about to sit here and bleed my clients drive every penny they've got, because I know I'm going to want them to invest in other things, right? That I'm not the only one that needs to be on their success team, right? So that's me. So I know where to price myself and I know what to offer within that. You need to think about who is my market. And if it's that I want to charge this much, then do I need to change my market? Or if my market can only afford this much, do I need to change my offerings or my pricing? Right? So your business is like a puzzle. These 5 things I'm giving you are like a puzzle, and all the pieces need to fit. And if a puzzle piece is too big, we got to figure out how to make it the right fit, right? So if you're charging too much, that's the first thing I want you to look at. But the other thing is, am I charging too little? And this is, again, really common for new entrepreneurs. A couple of reasons. You're coming from a job where you're getting paid, 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks an hour. And so, or a certain salary that works into a certain hourly amount. And so you're thinking, well, I should charge that, right? Or maybe like $10 or $20 an hour more, right? Not realizing that you may make 40 bucks an hour at your job, but you're sort of being billed out at, $140 an hour, right? By your company, because your company has to, like your boss, your employer has to, pay for all the other marketing things and overhead and like all the things like all the business expenses, right? You're a business expense. They have lots of business expense and they expect a certain return on you. So they're charging more for you per hour, right? Or they're expecting a certain level of performance out of you because you have to earn your keep in order to get paid there, right? So people often come to business with that mindset and they only charge a little bit more than their hourly rate, but you most likely need to be going, what would my employer charge for this service, right? Like how much, like I used to work with this one marketing agency and I would get, graphic design done at $150 an hour, but then I'll meet a new graphic designer who's charging their services out at $50 an hour. I'm like, no, this is what I would pay to a marketing company. You need to raise your rates. Does that make sense? So you have to think beyond what was my hourly rate as an employee. You need to think, what is the going rate for this service or this product or this program? Okay. The other thing is sometimes people think, well, I'm a new business owner. Yeah, but if you've got 10 years of experience in doing what you do and you are playing at the same level of people who are charging more for the same experience level, the same quality of work, then you can charge more, right? So again, it's just really understanding what is the going rate for what it is that I'm selling, and am I priced in the right range for that? All right. One caveat to this, I will say, I want you to charge a price or a rate or whatever that you feel comfortable with. And I know sometimes people will say, like, get out of your comfort zone, charge more. But if you're uncomfortable with how much you're charging, you will never make it. Like, not that you won't make a sale, you won't do sales. You won't talk about it. You will clam up. You will trip on your words. You will get nervous and anxious, right? So I want you to charge where you feel comfortable. And then as you go, you can decide if you want to raise it up. Okay. All right. So that's price. Next thing is marketing and messaging. Okay. So if all of that is right, you got the right offering, you know it. You've got the right price, you know it, right? People like you, they're following you, they're buying from you, but not as much as you want. Then we have to look at your marketing and your messaging, right? How is your copywriting on your website, in your emails, on your social posts, on your sales pages? How is your imagery and your branding? Right? Are you in the right places talking to the right people, whether that's online or in real life? We have to look at where you are not getting yourself out there effectively and saying the right things that make people understand or help people understand what you do and how you help them, right? So again, what are your customers and clients saying? How are you using those words in your copywriting when you're out there connecting, when you're on a podcast, right? And then finally, if all of that's working and you're still not making sales, it's your sales flow. There's something wrong in your sales flow. You are making it hard to buy. You are putting a barrier in someplace. Something is confusing or not working or broken. You are not doing the right activities. There is something wrong in the way that you're selling and the sales flow itself that's not working. So you need to go, okay, people get to hear, but then they don't purchase, or I get them this far, or I can't even get them in the funnel, right? You got to look at your sales flow. Remember I said at the beginning, this, your step by step, this, and then this, and then this, and then this. If you don't know that, and it, to the extent that it works, then you got to figure out where it's broken. Okay. All right. I have one more, but we're at an hour, and I think, you know what? We're going to do it. We're going to go for it. I can feel my brain is getting like mushy. I kind of wish I had a snack here with me. I'm going to bring a snack next time I come, because my brain is getting smoky. But let's go to our last question today. How do I get on podcasts? Let's do it. How do I get on podcasts? All right. Networking. Friends, you're going to see, oh, my back. You're going to see that networking is like the lifeblood of your business. It is the everything of your business. Networking is what puts you up close and personal with clients, with customers, with collaborators, with business besties. It's building out a network, a village of aligned, cool, awesome people, entrepreneurs or whoever, right? Industry professionals, whatever. These are the people that become our friends, our sounding boards. They open doors for us. They introduced opportunities for us, right? And we do the same for them, right? Networking is everything. So how do you get on podcasts? Networking. All right. So let's talk about what I mean. Let's break that down. All right. Because we want to be strategic. A lot of times, and I talk a lot about networking because it is the single most important activity you will ever do ever in your life, especially as a business owner. But when it comes to podcasting, a lot of people will just be like, just go network, just go network. Okay, but what the F does that mean? What does that even mean, right? So we need to think of it strategically. The first question you have to ask yourself is, what kind of podcast do you want to get onto? Who do you want listening to your podcast? What kind of listeners are you looking for, right? And I want you to make a list of the types of podcasts that you want to be on. You don't have to go find actual podcasts yet. Just make a list. I want to be on these types of podcasts. These are the kinds of people who would be interested in what I have to say. These are the kinds of people who would want to get on my email list or follow me on social media or buy from me. Okay. Then what do you want to talk about, right? You want to think about the types of themes and topics that the podcast would be focused on, right? and think about where there might be gaps, right? So like if I get into entrepreneurship podcasts, there's a lot of gaps around networking as a marketing strategy, right? There's a lot of gaps around consent-based selling, right? There's a lot of gaps around things like, as I talk a lot about working less and playing more. How are we using our business as a tool to work less and play more, right? How are we thinking about scaling, not as giving ourselves more work to do, but less work to do, right? So I know what I love to talk about, and I know where the gaps are because I'm not hearing anyone else talk about this, right? So for you, what are the themes and topics commonly talked about in your industry, in your profession, and where are the gaps, right? Where do you fit in? And then think always about how is this related back to my area of expertise, right? You can go on any podcast you want. You can talk about anything you want. However, if it's for business development, you need to make sure business development, meaning developing new business, getting new clients and customers, right? You have to make sure if your goal is business development, that you're speaking on podcasts where people care about what you do and your level of expertise so they connect with you. All right. Once you have those answers, go network. Go network. You can join podcast groups on Facebook. There's lots of Be a Guest, Find a Guest podcast groups there. You can go to groups that are specifically for podcasters. You can join podcasting communities. You can join organizations related to your area of expertise and interests. And then you can look for podcasters to connect with in all these types of groups and organizations, right? Go and find them. You can make a list of podcasts that you love now that you want to reach out to and cold reach out to and be like, hey, are you looking for guests? We're going to talk about how to ask in just a second. Okay. Also, go to your networks. Again, this is why networking is so important. Who in your networks has a podcast or knows somebody who has a podcast who can open a door for you, make an introduction for you, right? So network, reach out and say hi. And then remember that this consent-based selling still applies, right? Consent-based selling is simply asking yes or no questions. That's it. It's the easiest thing in the world. It's asking yes or no questions. I actually have a video. I wonder if I can grab it real quick. I'm going to grab it real quick and just share it here in the chat. Hang on one second. Hang on one second. Let me grab this video. All right, here it is. It's how to sell without selling. So let me grab this and throw it in the chat for you right now. And maybe if I can go back, I'll throw it in the description after as well. How to sell without selling. Okay, so consent-based selling is just asking questions, right? And so when we're selling, it's not just that we're selling our products, our programs, and our services. We're also selling ourselves, right? To be guests on things, to speak at things, right? We're selling ideas. We're selling mindset shifts. We're selling beliefs, right? We're selling more than just a product, service, or program, right? So remember that you are selling this consent-based selling still applies, right? So we want to be asking for yes or no questions. So if you're reaching out to somebody, you're asking questions like, are you looking for guests, right? Would these topics interest your listener? Right? Do you have an application form I can fill out? And a lot of these podcasts will have application forms without even ever talking to someone. You can just fill out the application form, right? And I find that for some entrepreneurs, for a lot of people, general, right? We can be really afraid of rejection or coming off like we're begging or asking for help can feel really uncomfortable. Like we can have a real hard time asking for things that we want and need. I could write a whole dissertation on why that is. We won't go into it right now. But one of the gentlest ways that you can ask for something is to say, are you open? Right? Are you open to new guests right now? Are you open to hopping on a Zoom to talk about being a guest on your podcast? Are you open to connecting to see if we can collaborate on something cool, right? Are you open to making an introduction to your podcasting friend for me, right? So the are you open question is such a great way to make requests in a way that feels really gentle for the other person and also gentle for you. It allows people to say not right now, so they don't have to feel like they have to be like no to you, right? It makes hearing no's gentler, right? It just kind of opens up this conversation. I love the are you open question. Recommend it, do it, burn it into your memory. Are you open to? So those are the ways that you get on podcasts. What kinds of podcasts do you want to be on? What are the things you want to talk about? Go and join groups, ask for connections, network with podcasters, and ask if they would like to have you on as a guest. Ask if you're able to guest. Okay. I'm going to give you some little bonuses for podcasting here because I've actually got 2 podcasts. I want to start a third, but I don't have time. I'll get there. I really want to start a Doctor Who podcast so bad. I've got a couple of friends that want to do it with me, people that want to guest with me, but I don't have time, but I'll get there. I hope one day eventually, or not. Who cares? Someone else. There's a million Doctor Who podcasts, I'm sure. But the 2 podcasts I have are my Work Less, Play More podcast, where I talk to entrepreneurs about how they ditch the 24/7 hustle, grind culture, and how they're building their businesses in a way that's really authentic to them, that really supports their vision for their goals and their lifestyle, and how they're using their business to change the world. So that's the Work Less, Play More podcast. You can check that out. Why don't I link it in the comments? Look at me being organized. Hang on. So here's the podcast here. And then I also have another podcast because I also do this really cool thing on the side, not related to my business, and it's called Fantastical Fatty. I'm most active on TikTok, and I create like fat liberation content and fat positive content. Basically, what's it like to be a fat person and not hate yourself out in the world and do cool things. And so I have a podcast, and I will say, I'm very behind. I have a backlog of interviews that go back a year because I just am so busy. If you like editing podcasts, let me know. I have gone through a few where I've onboarded them, trained them, got them started, and then something happened in their lives and they had to step away, which is fine, obviously. I mean, it's not because I wish things weren't bad for them. That's sucky. But like, I'm like, I need somebody to have my podcast for me. Anyways, okay. I'll get there. Executive dysfunction. Okay, so I have 2 podcasts. What was my point? My point was I love podcasting. I love public speaking. I've been doing it for friggin' decades. And I have some tips for people as a podcast guest, okay? So the first thing is do yourself the hugest favor. Have your bio, and you can have multiple versions of the bio depending on what's going on. Your bio, a headshot, the links to your freebie, and all of your like websites and socials in one spot. I like to have them in my notes app on my phone and also in a Google Doc, right? Somewhere where it's accessible. So that if you're filling out a form, you can do it really quickly on the go. A lot of times what hangs people up in filling out forms is going, oh, what should I say for my bio? Oh, I got to grab all my links. Put that aside, have it accessible and easy for you, okay? All right, have a list of your top 3 topics ready to go based on your area of expertise, all right? Just what are the 3 things that you could talk about until the cows come home? What do you love to talk about? What are you an expert in? Have that list. You can go a little extra here if you want, and you can actually write some potential titles, subtitles, a little description that includes bullet points with some of the benefits of what you're going to talk about to the listener, right? And a call to action, right? Remember on a podcast, it's a lot of podcasts are on YouTube now, which is really cool. I'm starting to move that direction too. But most podcast people are listening like on their phone, when they're walking, when they're driving, whatever. And so it's not like they're going to be doing a lot of link clicking, right? Because they're on the go generally, they're making dinner or whatever, right? So you want to be a really clear and easy call to action. Follow me on Instagram, right? And then all your links are on Instagram, right? Follow me on YouTube. And then all your links are on YouTube. Just one call to action, but make sure wherever you send them, your links are there, right? And of course, the podcast host will most likely have your links in the show notes, right? But assume that people aren't going there, right? So what is one easy call to action that you can give them? Okay, so, I was going to say, if you have all that written out, like the titles, the subtitles, the descriptions, all of that stuff, it becomes a foundation for other public speaking opportunities. Let's say you want to do a lunch and learn or an online like workshop one day. You're going to collaborate with somebody. Having that already written out, you're going to love it. Your future self is going to love you because anytime you're like going to create something, you've got so much of it already written down. Do that. All right. Remember that facts tell and stories sell. Facts tell and stories sell, okay? You are not just sharing facts or tips or, your genius in a bubble. Remember that is what tells somebody something, but when you share a story or an example or a case study, that's what makes it relatable. That's what gives it context. It grounds it. It gives people to hook into and see themselves there. Okay. A lot of times I get guests that come on and I've had to sometimes pause a podcast and be like, I need you to give me some examples or share a story here. I don't say it that meanly. I'll be like, how about if you share a story? Right? Like, because people will come on and just rattle off facts, but that doesn't mean anything. You want to be a good storyteller. You want to share your examples, right? Share your case studies, your stories. And remember that it's not about giving a ton of context, right? It's getting to that point, but giving something people that can go, oh, I can relate to that, right? So don't be a boring guest, is what I'm saying there. All right. Be interesting. Share stories, share examples, share case studies. The other thing is don't monologue. This can sometimes happen on podcasts. We get talking and going and going and going and going and going. And you could say like 10 amazing, brilliant gems in that monologue, but you've not given the host any time to jump in with you and talk about what you just said and expand on what you said, right? And so share one or two things and then pause, right? Let the host engage with you and expand on things. Don't worry, you're never going to get everything that you want to say out in a single episode. It's just not going to happen, right? It's okay to leave them wanting more. Don't monologue. Allow for back and forth. Leave space for people to respond and ask questions, okay? Two things I'd like to ask before I start recording. Number one, I ask about swearing. Can I swear? Do you swear on your podcast? I don't swear a lot, but sometimes an F-bomb or an S-bomb might drop out of my mouth. I don't even realize it. So know that if they're like, no, this is not an explicit podcast, there's no swearing, or this goes for any interview, then respect that, right? And if you can, and a swearing is on brand for you, then go for it. And then the other thing I like to ask, I like to confirm if they're going to be editing. So that way, if I make a mistake, if I say something that wasn't quite right and I want to take a stab at it, I want to try again. If I overshare and I go, actually, that's happened before. I go, actually, would you mind taking that little bit out, please? Right. So just confirm that they're editing, because if they're not doing any editing, you want to know that. If you have a cough, right? If you mess up, like, you want to know that. Okay. So that's some of my bonus tips for you on podcasting. Friends, we have covered so much in this video. Holy crap. I would love to know a couple things. I would love to know, first of all, did you watch this all the way through? I would love to know if you liked the advice. The next time that we go live, I'm going to use StreamYard, and I might make even like some little screen share things so I can put some of the stuff on screen. I would like to know, would you like that? Would you find it helpful for me to have some of the stuff written on screen? Did you like listening to this? Did you listen sort of more passively as you were doing things? Did you sit and furiously take notes? I want to know how you thought of what you thought of the flow and the content delivery on this, right? Really help me make these really accessible and better and more fun for you. Do you think that we covered too much? Just enough? You could go for another hour. I don't know if I can go for another hour. Not without a snack anyways. I definitely need a snack. But yeah, give me some thoughts in the comments. Give me some feedback. What did you like? What did you not like? I'm okay with hearing what you didn't like. Not that I take everybody's words to heart, right? Like, sometimes I can't help certain things or whatever, but I will take the things that I can actually affect, I can actually change. I will take that to heart, okay? And I will make these better. Not that this wasn't already awesome. So thank you for watching and thank you for being here. So yeah, give me some feedback, give me some thoughts. We'll be back again in March to do this again. I'm really excited to be back on YouTube, really excited to be creating content again soon. I promise. March. I'm going to be creating new videos for March. Okay. We're almost there, another week. But I'm just excited to be back, excited to be hanging out with y'all. I cannot wait to grow this into like thousands and thousands and thousands of subscribers and people in the community. And we're all hanging out here and chit-chatting and getting to know each other. God, I love building community, and I love building with all of you. So if you feel like you belong here, I mean, you belong here in general. But if you feel like you belong specifically in my community, remember to subscribe, hit the bell, like this video. All right, let's get it some traction here, and engage in the comments. Give me your thoughts, respond to some of the questions I answered, and let's keep this party going. All right, friends, I'm going to sign off. I'm going to go and have some food and fuel my brain. The sun is still shining, so I think I might get out there and have a little bit of a walk while the sun is up. Give my back a bit of a stretch. Kettlebells, form is important. And that's it for me. Thank you so much. This has been so much fun, and I will see you next month. Oh, and remember, Remember, consent is sexy, especially in sales. All right. Bye for now.